Welcome in everybody to another Trippy Challenge video. First things first, thank you to everyone who supported the channel this year. It is extremely appreciated and your support doesn't go unnoticed. So, in today's challenge, we are doing something a little bit different than our prior challenge runs. Today, we will be attempting to complete the gym challenge in Pokemon Shield only using gift Pokemon. Now, let's go over some rules real quick. Rule number 1. I can only use Pokemon that are gifted to me. Rule number 2, no items can be used in battle, well, with the exception of held items, of course. Rule number 3, no TMs or TRs can be used on my Pokemon for moves. Now, let's start off. We need to receive our Pokemon, you guys. Well, first we actually need to collect the Pokedex, and then we'll be able to receive our mystery gift Meowth, or I guess our starter in this case. Now, Meowth's stats are pretty subpar, but I think his moveset will come in handy. But as you can see, it's nothing special. So, we have our starter, and we need to take on our rival before we can take on the official gym challenge. And Hop starts out with the Wooloo, which isn't too scary. Now, we gotta start out with a fake out, just so we can flinch him and get started out right. The very next turn, go ahead and use Slash and get the knockout. Hop's next Pokemon was his Grookey, and although tougher than his Wooloo, and even getting me down so low that I needed to use my berry, I was still able to knock him out with a critical hit Payday. Cha-ching. Now, his last Pokemon was Rookidee, and it didn't even stand a chance. So, now that we've tasted sweet, sweet victory, it's time we leave home and begin our gym challenge in the Galar region. But before we can do that, we do need to acquire our next two Pokemon. When you arrive in the Wild Area train station, we can talk to the couple in the corner of the room, and they will gift us our newest team members, Eevee and Pikachu. Now, just like Meowth, these little fellas are not your average Pikachu and Eevee. All three of our gifted Pokemon can now Gigantamax, which I find really cool. Okay gang, we have finally arrived in Motostoke City, and we have officially signed up for the Pokemon Gym Challenge here in the Galar region, and I am super excited to begin this challenge.
Yes, the Gym Challenge. Participants must defeat the 8 gym leaders and gather the 8 gym badges to prove their skills as a trainer. Only the most worthy will have the honor of challenging the greatest champion in history.
Alrighty gang, so first up in the Galar region gym challenge is Milo. Now, Milo specializes in grass type Pokemon. These types of Pokemon are really weak to fire, flying, ice and poison, and bug type attacks. So unfortunately our team isn't packing any of those types, but it's okay, because Milo's first Pokemon is only a level 19 Glossiflor, and its moveset is limited to just 3 moves, Magical Leaf, Round, and Rapid Spin. Knowing I stood a pretty good chance taking out his first Pokemon, I decided to send out Pikachu first, as I wanted to paralyze him to get the advantage. Now, it certainly was more challenging than I expected from his first Mon, and I utilized our entire moveset, but we even needed our berry to stay into the battle before Matcha traded a handful of attacks to finally get the knockout on Milo's first Pokemon. Now, his last Pokemon is Eldegoss at level 20, and he immediately Dynamaxes his Pokemon, so I go for the para. And Matcha takes one for the team, unfortunately, but at least we got the job done on that part. Up next is Joy the Eevee, and I decided to go for the Dynamax to even the odds a little bit. Now, I go for Eevee's special Dynamax move, G-Cuddle. And this move is nice because it's a special ability. Now, because Eldegoss is male, and we're able to infatuate him, giving us an even bigger advantage, on our second turn of Dynamax, I decided to go for a Max Guard, so his Eldegoss won't be able to land another move in its giant form. Now that things have gone back to normal form, we decide to go for one last Cuddle move before our Dynamax runs out ourselves. Then, once everybody is small again, we go for an all-out quick attack barrage to eventually get the win. Heck yeah. Now, Milo was certainly a tougher opponent than I expected, but we do get our first gym badge, and we finally get to be able to continue our adventure, and on we go. Now, before we enter Hulberry Town, we do need to acquire our final team member. And when you reach the daycare center on Route 5, we go to the building and find someone who says they've recently hatched a Toxel and they want you to take it off their hands. Huh, lucky us, right? Well, it's just a baby for now, but when Toxel evolves, he ain't nothing to mess with. So, we need to train him up a little bit before the next gym though. Speaking of the next gym, we're finally here in Hulberry Gym, where the water gym leader Nessa is ready to take us on. Now, she starts out with a level 20 Goldeen, and of course I start out with Pikachu, but right off the bat, I decide to start things off by Dynamaxing Matcha. Start the match off with a huge advantage, if you know what I mean. Now, I always love this big heckin' chunk, but we gotta stay focused and not let our guard up on this matchup. Or down in this case. So, we go straight for the G-Max Volt and knock out Goldeen in one shot. Nessa's next Pokemon was Erakuta, and you already know, we had to give it the same treatment. So, first fish is fried. Now, Nessa's forced to use her very last Pokemon, a Gigantamax Dreadnought. Now, I'm definitely worried because this is our last turn of Dynamax, and we gotta make it count. So, we get him down to yellow health, and then we get the paralysis off. Things are starting to look pretty good for us at this point. But, of course, we're now small, and the Dreadnought is able to take out Pikachu in just 2 hits. You hate to see it. Now up next we send in Lance the Meowth, and we go for a fake out before he, well, knocks us out in one shot, to put it. Then we decide to follow him up with Toxel, and, well, yeah, Toxel didn't stand much of a chance either, and got knocked out immediately. So, our last hope is Eevee, and I'm feeling pretty confident despite the level difference, but not to save the dramatics, we get him down all the way to 1 health before he takes us down with a Razor Shell. Now, it was a close one, and I know we can do better than that, but let's try this again. So this time around, I don't Gigantamax Matcha the Pikachu, and I go for some electric moves instead, getting the knockout on Goldeen. Then up next was Erakuta, and I decided to go big or go home. And we take her out in one shot, and now Nessa only has 1 Pokemon remaining. And of course, it's her Dynamax Dreadnought. So, with just 1 hit, he sends us packing. Now, knocking out Meowth as well before we finally send in Eevee to eventually get the win and our second gym badge. It was tough, it was very tough, but I am very proud that we are on our way through this challenge. But now that we do have the Hulberry Gym's badge, it's time we travel all the way back to Motostoke City, where Kaboo and the Fire Gym Leader await our challenge. So, now, let's start out this thing right. We go out to Matcha the Pikachu and start out on the offensive. Thankfully, Kaboo misses his Will-O-Wisp and we land another Spark. Sadly, we didn't get very lucky the second time around, as he did land a burn on us. But we continue our offensive despite the burn on Pikachu. Now, Kaboo is not your average Pokemon trainer. No. He does come from the Hoenn region, but he does go for the quick attack and gets the knockout on Pikachu, if you know what I mean. So, I decided to send out Joy the Eevee up next and take a note from Kaboo's book and get the knockout on Ninetales with a quick attack of our own. So, up next was his Arcanine. Now, his pupper is definitely a tough one, but it does get the burn on us. Now, knowing I need to get some big moves off to win this match, I decided to switch into Dan Siles, and we go for the Nuzzle to paralyze the pupper. Now, we get the flail off, and we're left with just 1 health remaining. Now, the next turn, Dan gets lucky and gets unfortunately knocked out, so not very lucky after all. But we have to go back into Joy, and still burned, and no, we won't do too much damage, but thankfully his Mon is paralyzed and can't move. So Joy is able to get the knockout with Swift. Very, very clutch. So Kaboo's last Pokemon is definitely a tough one. This Centiskorch gets sent out straight with the Gigantamax, and his first move does knock out Eevee, and we're just limited to Lance now. So I decided to Dynamax our Meowth. We go for the better odds in the fight. Thankfully, Meowth's signature move, G-Max Gold Rush, has the ability to confuse opponents. Now, sadly he didn't stay confused for very long, but it did do some serious damage before Kaboo's Mon returned to normal. So, we go for our final Gold Rush attack, Things are down to the wire, you guys. Lance gets him down all the way to 1 health remaining. Now, all we need is for Scorch to hurt himself in confusion for the win, you guys. And of course, he didn't hurt himself, and he got the knockout on Lance. GG, that stinks. Oh my goodness, I cannot believe that just happened. So, well played, Kaboo, but I want a rematch, and I'm going to get one. So, for our second attempt at Kaboo, this is what our squad is looking like. And we lead off with Lance, and the battle gets off to a pretty decent start, despite his Ninetales getting us burned, which is unfortunate. But, hey, with the all-out attack weakened, we have no chance against this fiery Mon, and, well, we get knocked out, unfortunately. So, I decided to go with Dan Styles in hopes to getting a cheeky knockout before I have to use Pikachu or Eevee, but thankfully, Dan withstands one final attack before KOing his Ninetales with an Acid. Now, up next was Kaboo's Arcanine, and we stand no chance against this fire pupper, but needless to say, Toxel is down for the count. So, it's time we send out our boy Pikachu to try and slow him down just a bit. Now, it's no walk in the park, but we put up a good fight before he knocks out Pikachu, and I'm definitely feeling discouraged at this point. Now, we go out to Eevee to put up on cleanup duty, and now we're down to our final Mons yet again. So, of course, we both go to Gigantamax, and to make for even playing field, I think that's a good call right there. So, thankfully I land some serious cuddles on this big critter, and he can't help but become immobilized. So, once we're back down to normal size, and this is where it gets real interesting, we get him down to red before he lands a nasty flame wheel, getting us all the way down, but it comes down to this final turn. He outspeeds us. Oh, but he won't attack. Let's go! Now, we got this, gang. The third gym badge is officially acquired. Crazy how that turned out, honestly. Got the W. So, with that intense matchup behind us, we get a little reward out of that battle, and Toxel is finally going to become Toxtricity, which is really helpful, just in time for the 4th gym leader, Alistar, and his ghost team. Now, this Sapoopy battle starts out with Meowth versus Yamask. Now, although I can't use any normal attacks like Fake Out to give me an advantage, I now have access to some pretty solid dark moves like Assurance to help us out in this one. So, we got the first knockout, and then brought out a tough opponent in Mimikyu, which is going to be a pain, but Lance held his own and gets knocked out in just one hit. Very nice. So, unfortunately, we got to go out to Pikachu next, and his Mimikyu is definitely tough. Now, we do get Paralyze off on him, which is very helpful, but this gives us only just a small advantage. But he uses Shadow Sneak and gets the KO on us, so didn't provide much help after all. Now, up next, our newly evolved Toxtricity. We exchange attacks before we finally kill his Mimikyu, which is very nice. Now, Alistar's second to last Pokemon is Ursula. I decided to go for the Toxic because I know this Mon could be bad news for us long term. Now, Dan Styles does a good job, but now we're just down to our final Pokemon in Eevee. So, I go for the Bite, and we quickly take down his Mon, which is very cool. So, up last is his Gengar, which is going to be a pain. So, of course, it's time for us to Gigantamax our Pokemon and get down to business. So, he shoots out some moves at us, and that definitely hurt, but we respond with a powerful Dark Attack and get a crit nonetheless. So, I decided to guard in the next turn to weigh my options, which led to an inevitable loss, unfortunately. So, hey, let's try this again, gang. Now, starting out with Lance again, I decided to go and lower his defense with Screech before going on the offensive. It doesn't take but only 2 hits on Yamask before we get the knockout, which is nice. So far, so good, I'd say. But up next is Mimikyu, and this thing is tough as it can eat an attack thanks to its disguise ability. Now, that spells trouble for us as we get taken out pretty easy. So, up next we send in Joy the Eevee, and I go for Baby Doll Eyes in hopes to give us an advantage in this battle. Now that their attack is weakened, I switch into Toxtricity. So, Mimikyu's attack being lower, giving us the advantage we needed, Slash doing very little damage, so I decided to go for the Spark and we get the knockout. Now, Alistar's next Mon, Ursula, I decided to go for Toxic again in hopes to giving us an advantage. One last Spark before Ursula takes us down with Hex, but hey, all good. So, I decided to go out to Eevee, and Ursula outspeeds us, giving us some damage, but hey, we get the KO of Bite and that's all we needed. Now is his Gengar. I decided to switch into Pikachu, probably not my best move as Joy gets knocked out in just one hit, but back out we go, and this time we are Gigantamaxed. So, once his Gengar has returned back to normal size, they stand no chance. We get the W, we get the knockout. That's a GG to Alistar. Thank you for the 4th gym badge. And on we go, gang. On to the next gym. Here we go. So, okay, gang. Our next matchup is going to be against Opal and her fairy team. So she starts out with a fancy version of Wheezing. Now, well, of course I go out to Toxtricity, so we trade a few attacks, I even land the para, but we get the knockout in the very next turn with a Venoshock. Having a Poison Mon is definitely going to give us an advantage on this matchup. So, on to the next Mon. And of course it's Malwa, which is part Steel, and Poison doesn't affect Steel type. Awesome. So, with that being said, that leaves me very little option except for Electric type moves, which I guess isn't such a bad thing, as we get the knockout pretty quick on the Malwa using Discharge. So, up next was her Togekiss. I decided to switch into Lance. Something to keep in mind for this battle though is I do make it a bit more of a challenge. I decided to answer all of her trivia questions incorrectly on purpose. Now, I figured this is not the best matchup, and I decided to go back out to Dansiles to get the advantage with the Dynamax. We do get knocked down to yellow health, but we are able to get the KO on Togekiss, and that's all that matters. So, lastly is Opal's Gigantamax Alcremie, and this battle isn't going to be a slice of pie after all. See what I did there? Now, next we exchange some moves before Dan shrinks back down to size, and I decided to switch into Eevee because of our current circumstance, but sadly Eevee doesn't stand too long, and Alcremie takes us out very quick. So, I go back out to Lance next as I land a Fake Out and then lowered their defense with Screech, but of course we get confused. It doesn't take long, but eventually Meowth does get taken down. So, up next was Pikachu, and we go for the Spark Attack and get her down to very low health. Things were looking close throughout the entire battle, but of course we come out on top, gang, and collect the very next gym badge. And I'll tell you what, gang, this has certainly been an adventure thus far, but we're not done yet, and it's time to head towards Malenia and the Freezing Gym. Now, I'm not really excited about this matchup, but hey, all good. So, I decided to lead off and go out to Meowth first in hopes of giving us a strong start. Now, of course, there's Frostmoth, and not really good matchup for us, but hey, I think we'll manage. The thing I could really do a number on us, well hey, we get taken out in just 2 hits like I figured we would. So, up next I send out Joy, and I immediately go for the knockout, and of course I switch into Toxtricity up next against our hard-hitting Darmanitan. We get knocked down to red, and of course we get hit with Flinch, leaving us at a huge disadvantage. Thankfully, the next turn we outspeed and get the knockout using Discharge. We stay in with Dan as Malenia sends out an SQ. We land a Toxic and withstand her next attack. Thankfully, we actually did a decent amount of damage before we get taken out. So, up next I send out Joy. Thankfully, her Mon is already weakened, so we get the easy knockout on that one. Knowing she's going to send out her final Pokemon, a Gigantamax Lapras, I decided to switch into Pikachu to match her strategy. Only thing is we have a type advantage, so as you can imagine, this advantage was simply too much and we're able to take down her Lapras in just 2 hits with our chonky boy. So, that's it. We got our 6th gym badge, you guys, and we're on our way to the next challenge in the Galar region. So, it's time to take on Piers and his non-Dynamaxing Dark Gym. So, hey, this is a little bit unique just because neither of us can use Dynamax Pokemon in this battle. But hey, despite that, I know this is going to be a tough fight. So, I send in Toxtricity out first, and we take out his Scrafty no problemo. So, we exchange a few attacks, and we're all good on that one. Up next was Malomar, another tough matchup, but thankfully, I withstand their attack, and we are able to get another knockout with Dan. So, Piers sends out Obstagoon next, and needless to say, we got outsped and taken out very fast. So, I send out Pikachu next, and that turned out to be a good choice as we land the para on him. So, this proves to be coming in handy as we get him all the way down to red health before we get taken down. So, I try to go for the Fake Out with Meowth, but he outplays us of course. And hey, very next turn, it's all good though because we're able to take him out. But for this next matchup, I switched into Joy to take on his Skunk Tank. I started off by trying to lower his attack, which proved pretty useful as he wastes his turn going for a sucker punch. So we get a little bit of luck on our side and we're able to take down Piers and his final Mon with a swift attack. It was a tough battle for sure, but just like that, we have our 7th gym badge and we are on our way to the final gym challenge here in Galar. So here we go, gang. The final gym battle is here. We're going up against the Dragon Gym Leader, Rayhan, and now it's time for battle. This time's a little bit different though, as all the other gym battles have been 1v1. This gym does double battles, so it's going to be a different strategy on this one. So I decided to start out with Lance and Matcha. Now, this is not a great matchup for us, but I do believe we can pull it off. So, I decided to target his Gigalith first. Despite our combined efforts, we don't do that much damage to it. But we stay persistent and continue aiming for the same Mon. That being said, Flygon has hurt us big time, and Meowth is already knocked out. So, I switch him out with Dansiles, and that next turn, Matcha gets taken out as well. But Toxtricity's getting some revenge with Boom Burst, and we get the double knockout. So, Rayhan has to send out his last 2 Pokemon as I send in my last as well for this 2v2 battle. We need Lady Luck on our side for this one for sure. Rayhan goes for the Gigantamax on Duraludon. I need to match him on this by doing the same thing with Eevee. The battle is picking up intensity as things are starting to go down to the wire. We eventually get the knockout on Sandaconda, but our Pokemon are weakened like crazy. But hey, I believe we can win this, gang. Joey goes for Max Guard to protect us with another Max Strike. Now, things are getting interesting as the next turn his Mon gets the hit off on Eevee and the KO. So, now it's down to this final turn. Can we outspeed? Nope, of course. But hey, we dodge the Stone Edge attack and land the final hit for the victory. Holy cow, that was a close one, gang. Now, holy Miltank, this has been a crazy ride thus far. But now that we have all of the Galar League gym badges, it's time we head to Wyndon Stadium. Now that we're here, it's time we qualify for the final tournament, and to do that, we need to defeat the other competitors to do so, and claim the real prize of becoming the Galar League champion. So, now we did have to go up against our fellow challengers such as the Dark Trainer Marnie, our childhood friend Hop, and of course the new Fairy Gym representative, but hey, naturally, they stood no chance against your boy. But for real, it's now time for the final set of battles, and we've worked really hard to get to this point, and in the first round we are up against a very strong-willed water team led by Nessa. While she is a great competitor, we were able to withstand her efforts to get the preceding round against Alistar and his Sapoopy Ghost team. Now, they put up a valiant effort, but alas, we come out on top for the dub. Hey, we've made it this far in the Galar League Gym Challenge, and we're not stopping now. On to the semifinals versus Rayhan, and it's crazy to think of how far we've come, but hey, it's a close match for sure, and we come out on top and on our way to take on the Galar League champion, Leon. But wait! Chairman Rose has decided to bring upon the darkest of days upon all of us. Hey, well, gotta take care of that first, I guess. So, we're gonna need to postpone the finale. In order to combat the darkness befalling the Galar region, we gotta return to the Slumbering Whale to return and collect the Rusted Shield, and then back over to Hammerlock to defeat the conspiring Chairman Rose. But of course, now that we have to deal with that, thanks to Chairman Rose's actions, we have to take out the evil Pokemon Eternus. But of course, we could not do this alone. We're given some assistance from the legendary Puppers, Zaxion and Zamazenta, but in this battle of epic proportions, we're able to put a stop to Eternus and end the possible rule of darkness in the Galar region. Okay, so now that that's taken care of, we can finally take on the man we've been wanting to this entire time, Leon. So, this is the battle we've all been waiting for, gang. And it starts out as you would expect. Leon goes out to Aegislash, and of course we're gonna go out to Dansiles. I'm anticipating some trickery of some sort, so I decided to start up by charging up for an advantage. Now, we do withstand some of his attacks and restore some health in the meantime with Black Sludge. So, I follow up with a very powerful overdrive attack and get the knockout. I switched out to Lance with the idea of faking him out and Gigantamaxing for a huge advantage. Now that Meowth knows Rough Play, a fairy move, we're able to get the KO on Leon's Haxorus thanks to it being super effective, and up next he sends out Dracopult, which is definitely a tough Mon. but we're able to get some damage off before we revert back to our normal size, which was nice. I decided to switch out to Matcha, which was a good call as he goes for Thunderbolt. Now, we go for the light screen to help us out against these special attacks. Matcha does get knocked down to red before landing a very nice spark attack and getting the para. So, Leon goes for the healing item, which really sucks, definitely kills some of our momentum. Now that we can't outspeed him, we do finally get taken out finally. So, back to Toxtricity we go. Same strat as before with the charge and overdrive combo. This is good enough to get the knockout on Dracopult for sure. Up next is Intellion, and hey, that's perfectly fine with me as we have a very nice advantage. We go for the overdrive and get the knockout with ease. Up next is Leon's Mr. Rhyme, and we switch back out to Lance for the fake out. Next I go for the Screech in hopes to gain an advantage, and despite Meowth getting knocked out, I'm really proud of his efforts in this battle. So, up next we send in Joy. We immediately become confused, but hey, doesn't matter as we're able to get the knockout with Bite. Very, very clutch. Leon is down to his final Pokemon now, Charizard. So, I decided to switch back into Dan, and I'm feeling pretty confident. But of course, Leon Gigantamaxes his Charizard, and it's gonna make a difference. Even though our levels are a bit different, I help out with that damage no matter what. All we're able to do is get him down as far as possible, but sadly we can't outspeed him and Dan goes down to his Charizard. Our last mon is Joy, and it comes down to this turn right here, fam. Charizard lands the Overgrowth and is not enough to take down Joy, and we counter with a very powerful Swift move, and that's it, gang. We've done it. We've become the champions of the Galar region. I can hardly believe it, fam. Oh my goodness. For real though, thank you so much for supporting this video. If you've enjoyed your time, please consider leaving a like, heck, comment below letting me know. Also, huge shout out to the chairman TRENDGE for the cameo. Go check out the homie for sure. This was the most fun I've ever had doing a challenge video, but let me know if you guys have any suggestions for other challenges you'd like to see on the channel. I really do appreciate all the support, but that's it for your boy. Thanks again, and stay trippy, fam. Peace out.